Public Q&A presents Ask Reddit question. What are some good horror movies with no jump scares? Misery. Do you know what hobbling is? That is the main thing that I still remember with shudders more than 20 years after reading the book. I read the book for the first time as a 5th grader. Grabbed the book from our bookcase B or C. The cover intrigued me. That book did a number on me. So much suspense. And then I saw the movie. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine reading it that young. I read TikTok by Dean Koontz. Well, when I say I read it, I mean I read part of it because I got too scared to finish it when I was 13, and I walked around, not under ceiling AC vents for years afterwards. Then, I finished the book in college and found out that it was a combo romance or slapstick comedy or horror story, and I loved it. I'll never stop saying it. If we can have a talk like a pirate day, we should have a talk like Annie Wilkes Day. But not enough cock-a-doodle dirty birdies will listen to me. Sometimes it gives me the blues. The one film that eerily mimicked my imagination when reading the book. Everything, from the set to the actors, was exactly how I'd envisioned it. The original Wicker Man. Glad you said original, cause the remake is bloody awful. Edit. I woke up this morning and this had blown up. I have never received so many replied on Reddit before. You guys have made me laugh so hard, I have almost coughed up a lung. You've also convinced me that I need to rewatch it as a comedy, not a horror flick. Damn your eyes. LOL. Excuse me. Nick Cage dresses in a bear suit and knocks out a woman before being drowned in bees. Classic cinema. How'd it get burned? And don't forget how'd it get burned. I don't know. I was crying from laughing so hard at the remake. It is hysterically bad. Go back and read the reviews online, they are hilarious. My personal favorite includes this summary. Highlights include Nicolas Cage running away from a swarm of bees, and then falling down a hill. Nicolas Cage stealing a bicycle, and looking like Ms. Gulch from The Wizard of Oz riding around on it. Nicolas Cage running around the island kicking down doors looking for the missing girl. Lily Sobieski plummeting from a once promising acting career, in a brawl with Cage. Ellen Burstyn dancing around in a sad white muumuu. Nicolas Cage screaming who burned it? 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 For no reason. Nicolas Cage in a bear costume, I'm not kidding, running through the woods, taking off the costume, but leaving the bare feet on, and then doing some karate moves to some villains. And you haven't lived until you have seen the final 15 minutes of the movie, and its dreadful epilogue that looked like it was shot yesterday in your cousin's basement. Just taking it out of the UK, but especially Europe, seemed like a terrible idea to me. The cultures shown in the original are so familiar and quintessentially old and European, it makes no sense being in America before you get to the acting. Oh my god, was the remake not set in Europe? Nah, it's set on an island off of Washington state. Not the bees. Or the dogs with bees in their mouths, and when they bark they shoot bees at you. When being sacrificed, just dedicate your death to another god in exchange for it spiting those that did this to you. Either it works or the superstitious yokels will live in misery believing it worked. Christine. I was working at the assembly line at a car factory when I saw the film. Every time a red car came up, my friend and I hummed Bad to the Bone. This movie doesn't get enough credit. The Innocents 1961, The Haunting 1963, Rosemary's Baby 1968. Rosemary's Baby, the old ones built the suspense rather than rely on a cheap startle. Loved it. Wow. A kindred spirit. I saw The Haunting and The Innocents as a double feature at an art house theater when I was a teen. Best Halloween ever. Oh, Rosemary's Baby is actually a really good movie. And it's not really about the main premise of the film. There's a sneaky as fuck underlying theme to it as well. Ira Levin knew how to write them. I saw The Haunting in my theater class when we were learning how to create suspense and atmosphere in our own productions. Everything built up beautifully, up to the scene when the wife of Markway pops up from the staircase and everyone jumped. Halloween. It doesn't build its atmosphere on stupid jump scares, but creates suspense with its brilliant score instead. A must-watch classic, 10 or 10. The new one is an absolute banger as well. I can't remember if it has any jump scares. I am fairly confident if it does, none of them are cheap. Yes. I was hesitant at first, but the moment the OG credits and music started I knew it was going to be good. It was also nice to see Laurie actually not just gloss over the impacts of going through an experience like that. H20 did a pretty good job of that part as well. She spends the first half of the movie deep in PTSD, with the specter of the first film hanging over her entire life. The only thing that shakes her out of it is when her child, a young Josh Hartnett, is threatened. This reads like the back of a VHS. I choose to take this as a compliment. Thank you. It kind of does in the scene where Michael is stalking that one guy when the yard lights go on and off, but you see it coming. But Jesus, the scene where Michael goes on a spree, and the camera follows him the whole time, is just chef's kiss. That scene and the long shot scene where Michael is going door to door sold the whole film for me. You can really tell it was made by people passionate about good horror. Technically there's a few, but all very, very cleverly used, and usually after something extremely intense. Like when he jumps from the back seat, after Annie notices the windows are all fogged up. I think the scene where he jumps out of the closet to stab Bob is also a jump scare, technically. I don't think there's any jump scares that rely on the score to make you jump, though, which are cheap shots, and always kind of feel like how laugh tracks make you feel in shows. I think all the jump scares in this movie are literally done with the actions of the characters. All the jump scares in the original are accompanied by a deafeningly loud stinger. I have always tried to explain that this movie actually has very little blood and scares in it, and people are stunned when they think about it. The same goes for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually. People expect it to be Woa Kichikujima chainsaw decapitation, but it's literally an Arthur's film. The back 20 minutes of that movie is the loudest thing I have ever heard. Just consistent screaming and chainsaw sounds the entire time. It's absolutely encapsulating. Yes. Had some woman tell me and my girlfriend how horrifying Texas Chainsaw Massacre was, so we rented it, and I was like, yeah, really good movie, but not gory like today's movies are. Might have been talking about one of the sequels or the remakes. The 2003 one starts off with a hitchhiker pulling a gun out of an unorthodox holster and blowing her head off in the back of a van. Eraserhead. I love or hate that movie, it's so weird. I have seen some fucked up shit, but Eraserhead is on a whole new fucking level. Just sort of blew me away in a strange, horrifying way. So disgustingly good. Kinda sort of reminds me of Tool film clips. The imagery gets under your skin to the point you feel overwhelmed. I don't think I am ever going to look at toddlers the same way ever again. The "in heaven, everything is fine" girl still creeps the fuck out of me. The dialogues. Uncanny as hell, the characters so strange, combined with the cinematography sets this offbeat mood which is nightmarish as hell. It's a cliche to say, but for me, it's just a completely indescribable experience. I guess it's a film not to get but a film to get into. Like Lynch says, I like going into strange worlds. In surrealism there's not one concrete interpretation. You project your own life and experiences onto it, and you draw something from it entirely different than any other person who sees it. I really do credit David Lynch for opening me up to new and/or unusual experiences with art. I really want to say Silence of the Lambs, but there's one jump scare toward the end. I would say it's difficult to find one with zero. Better to find movies that don't rely on them to be good. Perfect Blue. I am ambivalent towards anime and have short-term memory, but this one still sticks with me 1 year after seeing it. Edit. Whoa, this blew up. I was super drunk and don't remember writing this, so I panicked when I saw 18 unread messages in my inbox. So glad it wasn't because I said anything controversial. More than anything, the movie had me severely disorientated towards the end. Which is exactly what Satoshi Kon wanted, no doubt. Personally, the scene I found the most amazing was as Mima is being chased by Rumi, the audience sees how Rumi views herself, the beautiful pop idol Mima, who practically floats as she chases after her. But in the mirrored reflection of the building, you see the disturbing reality of Rumi, stuffed in Mima's outfit, sweating as she's chasing her with a desperate and crazed look on her face. I absolutely love this movie. The guy that made Black Swan loved it so much he bought the rights to it. Then used scenes from it in Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan. Darren Aronofsky never bought the film rights. Satoshi Kon himself confirmed this in an interview. It's simply an homage. Darren Aronofsky. To add on to this, anything by Satoshi Kon is a goddamn masterpiece. Tokyo Godfathers and Paranoia Agent are the two I am most familiar with, but Perfect Blue and Paprika are arguably his most famous works. Also, he was in charge of one of the 90s JoJo OVAs, and it was easily the best one. He will be missed. That scene where the stalker dude closes in on her suddenly is better than 95% of jump scares nowadays. Deeply unsettling, one of the only movies to literally give me chills. I honestly think it's Satoshi Kon's best film. The V-Vitch. Live deliciously. Wouldst thou like the taste of butter? Wouldst thou believe it's not butter? Black Phillip is the goat of goats. I don't watch many, but this is probably my favorite horror film TBH, I have never quite found that vibe. I also really appreciate there was no twist or anything to it, there really was just a witch, and the devil really was fucking with them through the goat. This one is for the people crying about spoilers in a post that is literally tell me the contents of various movies. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. You know, before watching the movie, I was under the impression that it has an ambiguous ending. Then, like 20 minutes into the movie, and they show you a witch fucking mashing a baby. Like damn. Not even 20 minutes, it's literally like the first two fucking scenes. One holding baby, two mashing baby. She's mashing it. Yeah, she does that. Spoiler. Spoiler. Jesus Christ, that goat talking will forever be my favorite horror movie moment. And the fucking witch in the forest floating. I am getting goosebumps now. It's one of the rare moments in cinema where I got a full-on shiver down my spine. I think she made a good deal with that goat. I want a delicious life too. Buried, with Ryan Reynolds. Admittedly, I haven't seen it since the premiere in 2009, but the entire movie is set inside a coffin, so there's no much chance for a jump scare. So I am just guessing here. But afterward I felt anxious and claustrophobic as hell, even in a huge theater at Sundance. Upside was Tyan was there and talked us all through it afterward, lol. Super intense movie. This movie's was surprisingly different and good. One of the movies that has zero re-watch value, but is really good seeing it the first time. Coraline 2009 face with tears of joy that was scary as shit. I watched that for the first time yesterday. No jump scares exactly that I can remember, but some of the bits where other mother gets really close to the camera get pretty damn close. The Blair Witch Project. Nothing freaking happens, but the suspense was killing me. That film was phenomenal for its time because of the marketing. It was more or less pawned off a legitimate found footage from people who went missing. I think their website spoke about the cast being missing, and they showed interviews of the family. Watching it thinking this is legit scares the ever-living fuck out of you. I seen it back when it was still this is real. I feel lucky I got to experience it like that. It really bugs me when people brag about not falling for it when the movie came out. They say it was a dumb movie, and they weren't scared. The marketing for this movie was incredible, and I don't think we'll ever see anything like it again. Such a groundbreaking film. FML. Showing my age here, but my friends and I saw that in the theater the weekend after the weirdest hike and camping trip ever. Fucking traumatized. Ha ha ha, I wish I seen it in the cinema. My big brother did, and he said he had to walk home alone afterwards, and he had a couple spooky back roads to walk on. Said he near pooped the pants at any noise coming from the woods or bushes. Haha, all I heard him say about it was they really went missing, and it was terrifying. Got to see it on tape then. I think I was 9 or 10 at the time. Nightmare fuel, haha. Yup, totally different if you watch it with the mindset that it could be real. I watched it way back then thinking it might be, and it scared the crap out me. I can't watch that movie. The way it's filmed gives me horrible motion sickness. You probably already know, but avoid The Perfect Storm and Cloverfield too. Fucking Cloverfield. A friend told me to watch that, and my head hurt so fucking much after. I fucking loved the Blair Witch Project. I knew the premise or marketing was all part of the fun, but I was young enough at the time to allow my imagination to buy into it, especially whilst sat in the cinema. And it's an experience you'll only have once, I think. Re-watches don't really work. But that scene at the end, I'll not spoil it, had my hands literally sweating. I was legit terrified, and that's never happened before, or since in a cinema. That said, The Sixth Sense came out around the same time, and that hit me like a train, too. My parents showed me this movie when I was younger and told me it was 100% real. Didn't go into the woods for a while. Annihilation, it's all about the suspense and being creepy. Others have mentioned the bear, but what really got to me were the scenes in the lighthouse. I have never heard such a strange out-of-this-world score before. It left me feeling so uncomfortable. For me, the lighthouse was so abstract that it didn't really get me too bad, but the bear was fucking visceral. That bear honestly still freaks me the fuck out. Is nobody going to mention the guy's gut slithering around? That fucking bear was horrific. I made the mistake of taking edibles before this movie, and I have regretted that decision more than any other decision in my life, lol. I was looking for this one. It's as weird as it is unsettling. Also would like to mention that all the main characters are highly educated badass women, and they never even make a big deal out of it. Not in the movie, not in the marketing. They just unapologetically have awesome ladies. 100% representation done right. Exactly. I remember all the hype of Ghostbusters and women in STEM. They acted like morons throughout the whole movie. Annihilation had everything you mentioned, yet I feel like no one saw it. The studio gave up on it early on by dumping it on Netflix everywhere but the US initially. Made by the same dude who made Ex Machina, so why the hell they didn't have faith in the movie. ITT. Movies that have jump scares, but it's okay, it's only a couple. People that don't mind jump scares don't understand that jump scare literally means any sudden loud noise. Yep, haha. My roommate is super into horror and he'll be like, "Oh, there's no jump scares in this," and then like 5 minutes into the film, there's this insanely loud noise as the main character stares at something, and apparently that doesn't count despite being scary enough to make me jump. I think the term can apply to other things than noise. Imagine a scene in which the protagonist thinks she's lost the killer and is backing away from her door, and you see a shadow suddenly illuminated by a flash of lightning, and a tight shot of the killer as he steps out into the light. That definitely make me jump. The others. Jump scares. 4 1 major, 3 minor. The others is perfection. Maybe the old lady with cloudy eyes. But I was duped the whole time. Great movie. The Green Room. I love that movie so much. So weird seeing Patrick Stewart as a neo-Nazi though. One of my absolute favorite horror movies. I give mad credit to Stewart for stepping so far outside of his element. That movie was a nightmare of tension, brutality, and desperation. Also, Anton Yelchin was incredible, may he rest in peace. I was so tripped up by the movie that the day after I watched, I made my then girlfriend watch it with me. She had mixed feelings, mostly about the dogs. I saw this video, it was like why dumb decisions matter, and basically laid out how Green Room is one of the most human and more realistic take on human stupidity. Shit's hitting the fan, the team splits apart, and are picked off one by one rather quickly. Great fucking movie. Check out Blue Ruin by the same director. He also did Murder Party, but that one's a gory black comedy, lol. That's one of my favorite things about the movie. The antagonists live in a world of consequence, and the events of the story unfold because they are, in a very practical world, trying to cover their asses. They aren't just sadistic cold-blooded killers, but they try to negotiate their way out of a situation that would have ended them. The horrific turn of events happens because they are trying to avoid conflict and attention instead of, like so many other stories, simply reveling in violence and sadism. And every decision they and the protagonists make, while often dumb, are extremely human and organic. It's how people might actually act in this scenario. Nothing is done to simply convenience the plot. Lake Mungo. It has one very small moment that could barely be described as a jump scare, but it's otherwise a very haunting film that I don't think gets talked about enough. Also Oculus by Mike Flanagan. Fantastic horror that's very chilling, without any jumps and minimal violence. Lake Mungo is wonderful. 2 or 3 times during the film something happens that changes your perception of everything you've seen so far. Watch through the end credits and pay attention. The Shining has only 1 or 2 I can remember, and that movie's phenomenal. Jack Nicholson's face when staring out the window is more terrifying than jump scares to me. Jack Nicholson's face in the whole movie is terrifying. Such a perfect casting. I am fairly certain Jack Nicholson is just actually insane. He's basically the only Joker that could have done it without makeup. Edit. Right, I get Defoe could do it. But I said the only Joker. Defoe didn't make the cut, so I am still right. Edit. I mean for the original. New one ain't out yet, so this will age. I was misled to believe Defoe was in the new Batman, so I stand by my original edit. Lee good at acting. The part that stands out to me the most, that still sends shivers down my back, is when Jack is standing in the empty hotel bar and says to himself, "I would sell my soul for a drink." "What can I get you, sir?" says a bartender that obviously couldn't have been there before, in a chipper tone. To me, the most terrifying part of this movie was just the complete dread. I already knew about the sequence with the twins and Danny riding the tricycle before I watched, but what I didn't know is that there are numerous times where Danny rides the trike around a corner before that moment happens. As a result, the first time I watched, every time I saw Danny on the trike I would fear to see what came around the next corner, even though it's not a jump. I have never, ever seen a movie that handled anxiety and dread as well as that movie did. I watched it once and will probably never watch it again, and I mean that completely as a compliment to Kubrick's directing style. That movie has a bunch of sound jump scares, orchestral hits, sharp string staccatos, or whatnot, that have the exact same effect of jump scares. Seriously, rewatch it paying attention to how jump scary the music is. Tuesday is as scary as hell. 1408. And there's that one scene in the vent. But other than that, agreed, no other jump scares. Jump scare at the window too, I believe. John Cusack vented, he kind of sus. Such a great film and genuinely terrifying. I watched it once while sick with the flu, and it's never been more scarier. I'd say there's a few. Exorcism of Emily Rose. There were no sudden pop-ups of ghost, but the movie was scary enough for me. There's a couple of jump scares in this. When it cuts back to Emily all contorted on the ground, when people's faces are melting. This is maybe my favorite horror film of all time. I kept waking up at 3 a.m. for a long time after. Loosely based on the real-life case of Annalise Michel. I hate exorcism movies. It's like my one absolutely not genre. I have never seen The Exorcist. But for some reason I watched Emily Rose, and I was doing pretty well until the contortion bit. So upsetting. It's an underrated horror movie. John Carpenter's The Thing. It's a great movie, but there is jump scare in it. Just not cheap one. That's a good movie, but the blood scene though. So 1. Graphic, bloody, no jump scares. 0. I hate jump scares so much. It's a damn shame Saw became horror fast and furious. Holy fuck, Jigsaw has been dead for like 15 years, he can't still have new videos and traps. Who is he, Tupac? If I am not mistaken, the first 6 are all about his last wishes and having the cop take over. All happening like back to back. It kept switching. He had like 5 proteges, including his wife. Tupac and Jigsaw have one thing in common, neither one is actually dead. So Jigsaw in space. Unpopular. Aren't there a few scares of Pighead jumping out to inject the two? Specifically thinking of the scene in Adam's apartment with the camera flashes, but that could have been a flashback in a later film. Yes, they use that jump scare in almost all of them. There absolutely is a jump scare with Jigsaw in the closet pig mask. That might be the only one though. In the parking garage too. The Lighthouse and Midsummer, 2 of my favorites right now. Willem Dafoe plays the surliest, drunkest old lighthouse worker or sailor I have ever seen. I forgot how good Willem Dafoe is until I watched The Lighthouse. His insane sailor rant scene was done all in one go. He doesn't blink the entire time. It's like 2 minutes long. It even made me realize Pattinson is a good actor. Surely you like Me Lobster. You're fond of Me Lobster. Pattinson is a very good actor. I recommend Good Time, not a horror, but great performance from him. Hereditary. Maybe 1 or 2 jump scares, but that whole movie is terrifying in an I am laying in bed, and I can hear muttering outside the window kind of way. The whole last part just had me chilled. The actress that plays the mother sent shivers down my spine when she was distraught. Fuck. Toni Collette deserved an Oscar for that role, and you can't change my mind. I can't believe she literally learned how to fly for the part, and still got snubbed. Disgraceful. And decapitating herself. That's dedication to the craft right there. Toni saw what Leo did to get nominated Get a Boo-Boo in Django and said, yeah, I can do that but bigger. And better. I had trouble sleeping after that movie. Not from the scary moments, but from the amount of grief and pain portrayed from the loss of a child. Felt like I actually watched a mother lose her kid. Hereditary does have several jump scares near the end of the film. Midsummer also Ari Aster has few to no jump scares. Just tons of increasingly disturbing imagery, all shot beautifully. Yeah, Midsummer was less about jump scares and more about a sort of twisted and impending inevitability. Like, everything that happens feels like a natural and acceptable occurrence, not a sinister or malevolent plot. The very first scene in the village with the old people. You know what is going to happen. And they show everything in such shockingly graphic detail, that it's still somehow worse than what you imagined. Honestly, same with Hereditary and the car scene. That whole sequence, as soon as Charlie and Peter arrived at the party. I kind of knew where we were going. But the level of dread and impending doom kept getting worse, and then even after you finally get there. The family shit is almost scarier than anything else. What they didn't show in Hereditary is almost as scary as what they did show. We never saw the mom reacting to finding the body, but we hear it and imagine it. We never heard the brother explain to the parents what happened, so we keep wondering how that went. All the creepy stuff with the grandmother that happened before the movie started, and is only vaguely hinted at. But the worst part of the whole thing is watching the brother's face after it happens. Trying not to give spoilers. Putting yourself in his shoes, out in the middle of absolute nowhere completely alone. When he does get home, and you slowly start to realize he's just going to go straight to his room without telling his parents. All the way to the next morning, just that close-up of his face for several minutes. God, that movie horrified me. Hereditary is one of the few horror movies I can recall that legitimately fucked my head up. And I don't mean, oh, I keep hearing noises after watching a movie about ghosts. After it was done, I think I just sat there stunned while I tried to process what I just saw. That last act was just the biggest mind fuck I have seen. The Haunting of Hill House Netflix show. One big jump scare in episode 8 in a car. It's really a good ghost story. There are a few other small jump scares besides that one, but the show definitely doesn't rely on them. Holy shit, the one in episode 8 made me scream like a banshee though. Yup. Got both my fiancé and me. She chucked an entire package of Chips Ahoy all over our living room because of that scene. During that scene, I had my knee propped up and was scratching my leg. That jump scare got me so bad, I flinched my arm and punched myself in the balls. So it's the only jump scare that's ever made me both jump and cry. Was that the car scene? I don't think I have ever screamed from a horror movie in my life. But I sure as fuck did then. Yo, I went stiff as a fucking board to that scene, and my ex actually screamed a bit. That series is so damn good. That scene might have been my favorite in the whole series. I am a bit of a horror fanatic, and can usually anticipate when a jump scare is coming and brace myself for it. That one, however, got me so fucking good. Loved it. One of the best jump scares I have ever experienced. I wasn't relaxed like most scares try to get you to be. I was stressed and invested in the argument. My guard was actually down. I did not expect it. No lie, I barely ever get jump scared. But that one got me so goddamn good, man. That jump scare brought my heart rate up well after that scene was over. One of the ones who wrote EP8 also wrote Baraska, which is a great read. What I liked was that jump scare had context, and wasn't just a jump scare just to be a jump scare. This is the reason why I consider it the greatest jump scare in horror. Not only is it completely unexpected given the context, but the scare leads to a moment of genuine emotional catharsis and moves the plot forward. It isn't pointless or a fake-out, and that makes it so memorable and infamous. Literally hair-raising. Scared the absolute, utter, complete fucking shit out of me. Best use of it ever. We can retire jump scares after that. I really liked that instead of traditional jump scares, in many scenes they relied on a sort of observational jump scare where ghosts are in the background constantly in so many shots, but you may not notice them, or your subconscious may notice it but not register quickly enough before the scene ends, just giving you that hair raise, or you may see it and instantly you may get a spike in your heartbeat. Ghost isn't moving, it was there in the background the whole scene or camera angle. So not a jump scare, but they can be hard to pick out, and when you do it still can get ya. It follows. Edit. Wow, this is my most upvoted comment. Thanks for the awards. I was freaked out for a whole month after watching that. Also, the whole aesthetic and tone was fantastic. The slightly anachronistic cars and technology gave it a placeless, dreamlike feel. And the music was fantastic. I had a delayed reaction to It Follows. It was a good movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, but I stopped thinking about it after the credits rolled. Then, maybe 3 weeks later, I saw an old woman walking toward me in public and felt pure and absolute dread. Honestly, it has won, but it's the best jump scare of all time, so. Edit. Also, I feel like many didn't notice Backpack Girl. Giant guy coming up the hallway into the room. That's got to be it. Saw that shit in the trailer, pissed myself when it happened during the movie anyway. Wow. You are still with us. Thanks for being such a nice person. As long as you are here, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? Also, you can press the bell icon, so you won't miss any future uploads.